I play smarter. I invest with Morning Line. You build your stable. When they race, you earn. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line. Own the game.
Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. This is the middle race of the 5 Breeders' Cup races on Future Stars Friday out at Del Mar. Race 8 on that 10 race card that is really stacked with talent, and you want to get a leg up on your handicapping for both of these Breeders' Cup days, Friday and Saturday. You can do so with our DRF packages. You can purchase the Players Package or the VIP package, the latter of which includes those clock reports where Mike Welsh and his team will be putting together write-ups on all of these horses in the Breeders' Cup races, as well as the entrance in the undercard races. That can be an invaluable resource to your handicapping. Also in these packages, you've got the Players Guide, got betting strategies, and a whole lot more. Check out more information about these DRF packages where you can save $38 of the value on everything included at shop.drf.com or by using that QR code on screen. Let's throw up the field of 13 that was entered in this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. And Mike, there were some gasps during the post-position draw when a couple of major players in the Juvenile Fillies Turf and the Juvenile Turf, both going out for the Aidan O'Brien barn, drew the dreaded outside post positions in large fields. And that was the case for number 13 Precise, who felt on the way in like she was going to be a heavy favorite in this race, maybe a slightly less heavy favorite now that she's drawn outside in post 13, but maybe it matters a little bit less for a horse that's going to be coming from off the pace.
Maybe it does. We'll see how much of an obstacle it is, though, because it's certainly not ideal for Precise. Listen, if you watched any of her races, you know that she's a super talented filly, but she's also not the most professional 2-year-old filly in the world either. So being hung outside in a race like this where she's going to need to work out a trip, maybe it works against her and opens things up here.
And it is just worth pointing out when these Aidan O'Brien horses have shipped over to the U.S. for the Breeders' Cup, handicappers that are based in the U.S. can rely on Ryan Moore, who knows U.S. racing so well, to give these horses some really good rides. Ryan Moore is out for the end of the season, so it's going to be Christophe Soumillon riding the first string of most of these Aidan O'Brien runners at Del Mar on Friday and Saturday. And while Christophe Soumillon is a world-class rider, not the same depth of experience riding turf courses like Del Mar as Ryan Moore might have. So going to really test his riding skill for some of these post positions that the Aidan O'Brien horses got in these races, particularly on Friday. Well, we don't have a pace projector to show for this race, but we can briefly talk a little bit about the pace before we get into the handicapping of the main contenders, Mike, because it does feel like there are a few horses in here that want to go forward, particularly some that are drawn towards the middle of the starting gate, like Celebrity Warrior. Brave Deb has a lot of early speed. Ground Support has shown speed, though she's drawn outside. And even a horse like Switch in Love from Japan has shown some good early speed overseas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the pace plays out. I'm glad you brought up the 6 Switch in Love who's in from Japan, because it does feel like, just based on her, she's only run twice, but man, the most recent start there, it seemed like she was going a pretty good clip at a mile before finishing second in the stakes race.
Let's go through this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf field in post-position order, beginning with the number 1, Ultimate Love. And Mike, she's kind of coming into this race from a slightly different path than most of them that competed in the graded stakes preps in New York or at Keeneland or out west. She's been based mostly in the Mid-Atlantic region, running at Colonial and Laurel. She's won a couple of races at Laurel in her last 2 starts around 2 turns, including the Solima last time out. And she was a really visually impressive winner of this race. Never saw the rail, 2 to 3 wide around most of the track. And once she got peeled to the outside to produce her run in the stretch, it's like she just has this relentless finish in her that puts her in a different league than the competition that she was facing. Now, she is stepping up against much tougher than she's faced in any of her prior starts, but she drew really well towards the inside here, and she's got talent.
She definitely has talent. It's going to be very interesting to see how she classes up against horses like this, because it's very clearly the toughest test of her life. But just based on what she's done so far, I don't think I'd be too surprised if she was up for it, David. She's been really impressive. She's really handy. She's got a great post position here to sort of land into the right kind of a trip in this race. And she's also she's probably got the best pedigree in the race. There's some really well-bred horses in here. She might have the best pedigree in the race too. There's a lot to like about her.
Mike, I'm sure you know this as well. Mike Trombetta is not the kind of trainer to just run horses willy-nilly in graded stakes races. If you look at his stats in DRF Formulator, he's got a positive ROI in graded stakes races over the past 5 years, and he's only run 2 horses in grade 1 races over the past 5 years, and both of those horses are grade 1 place. So he chooses the right horses to try spots like this with. The number 2, Queen of Hawaii, one of many overseas contenders in this race, and she's relatively lightly raced, Mike, and looked like she was really coming to hand over the summer. She won a Group 3 in Ireland last time, did it well. Not really sure what she was beating in that race, though, and I was looking up some of the information about her overseas. She was actually an intended runner in the Fillies Mile, that precise one, and was a vet scratch out of that race. So not a planned layoff coming in here.
Yeah, that's not a great sign here. I mean, maybe it's everything should maybe brush that aside because they are going to ship her over here to run in this race. So we'll see how it all plays out. What you would like about her, very well connected, is probably going to be a price in this race. And this is the kind of progression that you want to see from 2-year-old fillies, at least in my opinion. Her debut clearly looked like a prep to me, David. I don't know how deep you got into it. They just sort of took her back to last, sat on the rail, let her run through the stretch, and she was way better in each of her last 2 starts, put her right up on the pace in both of those races, took over and ran away from horses at the end. I think she can run. I don't know if this is the right spot.
Yeah, distance not a problem for her. She might want to go even further when they stretch out next year as a 3-year-old. The number 3, Imagination the Lady. She is 2 for 2 in her career and really has done nothing wrong so far. We'll take a look at her most recent victory when she qualified for this by winning the Grade 2 Jessamine. And she went off at 10-1 here because there was one horse, Time the Dream, that took all the money, and Time the Dream is in behind Imagination the Lady. She's in that Rapoli orange cap, getting in a little bit of trouble there. We'll talk about her more in just a little bit. But the winner of this race, Imagination the Lady, it's not like she ever saw the rail here, Mike. She was 2 to 3 wide around the track, and she wins this pretty comfortably in the end. You could say the same thing about her debut victory at Kentucky Downs. She wasn't the flashiest, but she always looked like she was going to get the job done there, and she's got tactical speed and drew really well towards the inside.
Yeah, really liked her debut, and I was at Kentucky Downs. I thought she looked really good winning that race, and she sort of got overlooked a little bit in the Jessamine last time, and she ran really well again. Now, I think it's fair for, if anybody told me they went back and watched the Jessamine and said the horses that ran 2nd and 3rd had the worst trips in that race, and even though Imagination the Lady didn't get a perfect trip in there, she certainly got a better trip than Infinite Sky and Time to Dream did, and maybe she took advantage a little bit. The flip side of that, though, David, is at the end of that race, when those horses sort of shook free and came running, I don't think they were getting to this horse. She really finished that race off well.
Let's move on to one of those horses coming out of the Jessamine that finished behind Imagination the Lady, the number 4, Infinite Sky. And I don't know, maybe I have a difference of opinion than you. I didn't feel like she had a whole lot of trouble in that race. I mean, yes, she was far back early and she kind of had to weave her way through traffic in the stretch. Ultimately, I thought it was a pretty good ride by Luan Machado. And I agree with what you said about the very end of the race, where she had her chance to get to the winner and just couldn't really push past in the final 16th of a mile. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for her pushing past that rival and plenty of others that look better coming into this race. And also for a horse that has so little early speed, you have to wonder what kind of trip she's going to pull.
Yeah, you have to be worried about that. Yeah, to me, when I watch her Jessamine last time in particular, it feels like the start of that race really compromised, because she broke awkwardly and then got bumped, and she just wound up last in that race. Her rider really didn't have any other choice but to angle her over and try to save some ground, and he did that. Got into a little bit of traffic in the upper stretch there, and then when he did get clear, to her credit, Infinite Sky came running at the end of the race. I thought she ran fine in there, but she'll also have to run better than that against this field.
No, that's fair. I probably overlooked the start a little bit because she's a horse who's just been back there in every start of her career so far, so I didn't really give her too much extra credit for that. The number 5, Final Accord. I mean, she's coming in here with some things to prove, Mike, because she's never gone beyond 6 furlongs, but she has looked pretty good in both career victories so far. We'll take a look at the most recent of those when she beat Graded Stakes Company in the Matron. And interesting that Mark Casse decides out of this victory that he wants no part of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. Didn't even pre-enter her in that race. He's dead set on stretching her out in this mile Juvenile Fillies Turf. And I kind of understand it when I watch her run. She rates nicely. She's got a strong finish on her. And when you look at her pedigree, Mike, there's nothing but stamina influences on the bottom side.
Yeah, listen, maybe she won't be good enough in here and maybe stretching, but I feel like if she gets beat the distance isn't going to get her beaten here. This is a Phipps female family. It's all distance on the bottom. So I think she is going to stretch out. We'll see if she's good enough. I love both of her races, David. She's a super professional 2-year-old filly. That race that we just watched there, she even lost position early in that race, had to alter clear in the stretch and just came charging down the outside. I think she's really, really good. She's going to be a price in this race, and I'm definitely using her.
The number 6, Switch in Love, is one of the Japanese contenders coming over for this Breeders' Cup. Though, Mike, we should note, while Japan has had success all over the world shipping out to top meets like the Breeders' Cup, not so much with the 2-year-olds that they brought over to the Breeders' Cup in prior seasons. So maybe keep that in mind when you're handicapping Switch in Love. And look, she's a horse that definitely has upside. She was game to win on debut. And Mike, it sounds like you did watch her last race in September over in Japan. I will say, and I wonder if you agree with me, if the winner of that race was coming over to run here, I think I'd be picking her. Not so sure about Switch in Love.
That's the one thing that I was wondering what you were going to say about this race too, because she did go. It seemed like she was going a pretty fast pace last time. Yeah. She also, that horse ran right over her in that race. I kind of wanted to see her be a little bit more competitive at the end of that race, but maybe the pace just really took its toll. I'm against her in here. I'll be interested to see how she runs.
Yeah, I don't know if that horse Alan Carr has run back since, but she feels like a potential Japanese Oaks type. The number 7, Celebrity Warrior, a maiden coming into this race. She's finished second in both prior starts, though one of those was a stakes race where she finished behind Ultimate Love, who we already talked about. She was no match for Ultimate Love in that Salima last time after setting a pretty moderate pace. It feels like she's going to have a lot more company up front this time.
Thought she was hard to like in this race. She was very green first time out at Saratoga and ran fine. Thought she'd improve a lot more than she did in the Salima last time, and she was just absolutely no match for Ultimate Love.
The number 8, Brave Deb, another horse that wants to be forward. She's yet to run a fast buyer speed figure. Her top of 64 is not going to make her competitive in here. But Richard Mandella, a trainer who knows what he's doing, knows how to win Breeders' Cup races, is pressing on into a tough spot here. And Mike, I do at least like the grit that she showed late in her races to hold on when she's received challenges at the end. Just feels like she's going to be challenged by some much tougher rivals in this spot.
Yeah, that's ultimately what turned me against her in this race too, David. She's another one. I like both of her races. I think she has a lot of ability. She got a real nice way of going. She sat off another horse last time, so I was happy to see her do that, and she still finished in that race. She's just one of those horses. I feel like she's, in my opinion anyway, she's way better than her figures make her look. I just wonder what kind of trip she's going to get in this race. I didn't want to totally leave her out, but there were just so many horses that I could make cases for in this race that I couldn't use her.
You know the thrill of picking a winner. But instead of just running to the window for a quick payout, I play smarter. I invest with Morning Line. Morning Line is a more sophisticated way to use your skill and bankroll without putting it all at risk. Build your stable. When they race, you earn. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Keep the action rolling without burning your bankroll. This is playing the ponies, elevated like a boss. Morning Line. Own the game.
Mike, I think the most polarizing horse in this race might be the number 9, Time to Dream, because she looked like the early favorite for this race, or one of the early favorites, at least from the American side, when she won her second start at Saratoga over the summer in the PG Johnson. We'll take a look at the replay of this race. She shows off this big turn of foot to put this field away, and when a 2-year-old wins a turf stakes by 5 lengths, you could tell they are significantly superior to their competition. The problem is she came back from the Jessamine last time, and I do think she had a little bit of trouble, Mike. I don't know how much of an excuse I really want to give her, though.
Yeah, I feel the same way about her. I feel like maybe I wasn't as high on her as some other people were coming out of Saratoga. Not that I don't think she's good. I think she's good. I don't know if I was as high on her as some other people were. And listen, if you want to tell me that she had the worst trip of the 3 horses that are exiting the Jessamine, and that she'll, with a better one, she'll beat those horses, okay, I'll go along with it. But to me, there are too many other horses in this race to like at better prices than Time to Dream.
The number 10, Valentina, is going to be one of those much better prices. She could be one of the longest shots in this race. And it's not like she has no credentials at all, Mike. I mean, she was in a photo finish in a Group 3 race in France 2 back. Her last race, though, somewhat disappointing. She really had nothing to offer in the late stages. Maybe the ground worked against her. It felt like just watching that race visually, even though it was rated good, there was a little give in the ground there. So maybe getting firm going is going to work better for her. But she's got some things to prove.
We'll see if she can rebound, because, yeah, she was disappointing last time. And I don't know that there's, an excuse that you could readily come up with for it. That being said, I think her prior races are all really, really good. She was super green first time out and then just got way better almost immediately out of that race. Two starts, you mentioned the race in France 2 starts back, David, where she just got nailed on the wire. She ran really well in there. And the horse that ran her down is a really nice horse, Green Spirit. She's 4 for 5, second in a Group 1 race. After that filly's really, really good. And she just nailed this filly on the wire.
The number 11 Ground Support has gotten very little support so far in her career, at least from the betting side. She went off at 100-1 on debut, got the job done to the surprise of almost everybody, and then came back in the Miss Grill last time. We'll take a look at the start run of the race. And again, the bettors just kind of ignored her. She paid $26 despite the fact that she was coming off a victory that made her competitive against this field. She has gotten 2 perfect trips, though, Mike, in both career starts, saving ground every step of the way. And I think the big knock against her here is that it's just hard to envision her getting that same perfect trip from post 11.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, even though, listen, she doesn't need the lead to win. She proved that in her career debut. So maybe she'll just wind up working out something pretty good here, even from post 11. But it's just hard to wager on something like that. I mean, I guess the flip side of that, David, is she's probably going to get overlooked again in here. It's not like she's going to be some kind of a short price. And she's very clearly an underrated horse.
You can make the argument that of all the European runners coming over for this race, maybe the number 12 Pacific Mission has the most upside out of all of them, because it feels like we haven't seen her best just yet. I mean, she looked like a work in progress even when she broke her maiden over the synthetic 2-back. And last time out, she took a step forward, finishing second in that Group 2 Mayhill, going the mile distance. So it feels like stretching out gradually has really worked for her. Though you might notice, Mike, the horse that beat her last time in that Group 2 at Doncaster was no match for Precise when she met her. So I wonder if her form lines really stack up, and she is stuck with a pretty tough post position.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I felt like she had some kind of big excuse last time either, David. I mean, she didn't get out of the gate well in that race and was sort of last away, but then I just thought she worked her way, right into position, was in contention at the end there, and just wasn't quite good enough. But listen, if nothing else, she improved last time. When she broke her maiden on the all-weather surface there, she got a perfect trip in that race, but she really ran through the stretch. So it does seem like she certainly has some ability here. I preferred other horses, but I won't be surprised if she improves again.
And the one to beat, as we said, stuck all the way on the outside, is the number 13 Precise. But I mean, Mike, she's considered to be one of the best 2-year-old fillies in Europe. And Aidan O'Brien brought over the top 2-year-old filly in Europe last year in Lake Victoria, got the job done in this race, won it pretty easily. And Precise, I mean, she feels like she has a very similar profile coming over this year, coming off 2 Group 1 victories in the Moigler Stud, and then last time in the Fillies Mile, where she proved that she can get the mile distance, something that Lake Victoria hadn't done before coming over to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. So she is really good. She's got a very strong finish on her. So if she can manage to save any ground at all, she's going to be a handful in this race.
Yeah, it's just all about trip. And again, when you watch her run, you can see that she still looks like she's a little bit green, and some of her races doesn't even really know what she's doing. She's kind of winning on talent alone. She's really good, and she finishes fast in every one of her races. If she can work on any kind of a trip in here, I expect her to be really tough to beat. But maybe being drawn outside here with some, let's be honest, there's some talent to her inside here. Maybe it'll be enough here that you can maybe bet somebody else at a better price.
Well, everybody, before we get to our picks, we want to let you know a little bit about morningline.io. You can unlock access to some of racing's most coveted bloodlines, mares and colts connected to championship pedigrees. Morningline is a private SEC-regulated marketplace where approved participants can trade licensed interest in elite racehorses. No ongoing costs. Build your stable only at morningline.io. Let's go to our picks for this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. And Mike, this is the one where we actually agree on the number 1, Ultimate Love. It just feels like she's been really impressive. We'll see if she can stack up against tougher competition here, but she is supposed to get a good trip from the rail.
Yeah, I think we saw the same things about her. She should be a fair price in this race. I'm gonna take a little shot there. Listen, Precise to me is the horse to beat, but I am gonna try to beat her here, just based mostly on that post position, and hope I can out trip her with some better prices. The horses that I really preferred were the 1 and the 5. I think Final Accord's gonna run really well here at a price, and even that other European Valentina, I think she's underrated.
Yeah, we are very similar here. You're a little more against Precise than I am, but I do also have Final Accord in there. It's an interesting race. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, 1:13.53 for me and 1:5:10.13 for Mike in this 8th race on Future Stars Friday out of Del Mar. Good luck if you're playing the races this Breeders' Cup weekend.